Hey, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. So basically, I am in a pickle at the moment. I need to get something implemented that I know is not going to be good for me. So it's like, but I want it. So it's like, eating something that's really bad for you or something like that. You're going to have to deal with it in the future. Um, but basically, I set up this concept called spotlights in my Three.js project, and spotlights requires if you want to be able to move what the camera or what the picture is looking at, it requires an object, and then when you move the object, it the spotlight follows that object. So I don't really know beyond that, like exactly if it's like if you can make it like if you can use any kind of object. Like when I first read about this, I thought that you could like point it at any light or any mesh or anything like that, or if it has to be a specific target object and that's all you can do. And then like I have a big blind spot when it comes to grouped objects. Like I don't know, like if you like I know you can group like two meshes together. That's how you can build like complex objects. And if you group two meshes together, I don't know what happens. Like if you set the position of like let's say you group a sphere with a cube and then you set the position of the cube. If it moves it within the group, so if you set it to -1, does that mean it kind of go like the let's say you have a sphere and you have a cube and then you move the cube to -1, does it just move -1 relative to the sphere, but you have to move the whole group in order to move it around? Or like I don't understand how any of that works. It's completely like I hadn't even thought of that concept before, like I was on my jog this morning. So now I'm trying to half bake a solution for spotlights with huge blind spots, knowing that I have huge blind spots and knowing that there's a ton of potential for me to end up poison pilling this entire application in this. And that it's very like when I set this target object, it's going to be very tempting then to like animate it. And so then I'll add more special code for this target object, and then who knows what I think of after that. And if I keep on building on that, what'll happen is I'll build this entire like basically it would be like the equivalent to a tumor in a body. I'm building this like destined for death code that might end up becoming so integral to the application that it makes the application like impossible to maintain. So, but here we go because I really want this. So I'm going to let this happen, but I'm going to try really hard to not let it become out of control. So yesterday I talked about setting up this target object, and we made this an optional parameter of a light interface. So if you were to create a light interface, light interface, and then you set it to you turned it into a spotlight, then it's automatically pointed at 000. But if you want to move it, you have to move its target object. And so I'm just going to have this optional target object that you can add to it. And in the target object, I know I have an X position, a Y position, a Z position, and an optional ID. I also said that I wanted to infer if you have an ID that's been added to the scene. I have changed my mind on that. I knew even when I was saying it, that was not what I wanted. I'm just going to add a property called added to scene, and this is Boolean. I know that is a little goofy, but like this is destined for destruction, right? We are looking at dead code walking. It's not going to, it better not exist. When I make video 700, this code should not exist anymore. This should have been destroyed as part of the grouping system. So added to scene, even though that's goofy, is fine. Now we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future, but that's what I think. All right. So now when I go to, and I think I just want to delete this. It's going to break for now, but at least it'll give me sort of an indicator of where I need to make changes. So I'm I'm going to save that. And let's let her rip and see what breaks. Okay, so we've got this breakage, which is in our update forms. Okay, so we are in the component at this point. So we want to add our target. No, I think target X position is still good, but over here we want to make this dot target. All right, and I changed my mind again, and it doesn't surprise me that I changed my mind because I really don't know exactly what I'm doing here. I'm going to make this a required. So you have to specify the target position, target object when you create one of these things. Okay, that breaks more things, but we know that it's going to exist now. So I can say target dot X position. Okay, so we're good there. And we got all kinds of stuff broken. So I'm going to just come over here and, unfortunately, I guess I'll use this. Okay, so now we're saying, and we are back, we're still in the component, and we're saying that the light item's target position, but the light item target position doesn't exist anymore. But we do know that our dot target exists, and that is, I believe that's a lowercase x position. Okay, we are rocking and rolling. All right, so in our form control, we want to feed the target x position from dot target and lowercase x position. That makes sense, right? I mean, so basically we are going to create a brand new form group, and it's going to have a value, and its value is going to derive from the target's our new target object's x position. So now that's broke. So that's fixed. So let's go over here. Are we in this server? No, we're still in the component. Okay, so now we set the target's x position, but we really want to set the target. And the target is an object. And the object has an x position. And we're going to default that to 0. A y position. And we're going to default that to 0. A z position. And we are going to default that to 0. And a is added to scene. And that is false. It has not been added to the scene yet. All right, let's see. Okay, so now we are broken in the service. So we are moving along. I don't think this shouldn't break anything in the form because we set in the template because we set up the form properly. And so basically this target object has been created. And okay, so what happened was, okay, so yeah, this is going to be a little bit more complicated. We have a target object that I added yesterday up here. That was this guy. Okay, so we only want to create a target object only if it doesn't have one, right? So, and we will know it doesn't have one because it doesn't have an ID. As soon as we create one, we should get an ID, and then we should be able to do stuff with it. Yeah, update is, oh my gosh, yeah, this is going to be hard. So basically, if this dot light, I think it's light item, right? Light item, yeah. Dot ID. Oh, dot target. So we're saying, okay, what's your problem? What did I call it? Target. Oh, light item, not light items. Oh, and it's not a this. Man. See, I'm a little discombobulated, right? Like, usually when I'm coding, I have a pretty good idea what I want to do. So we're saying if if it doesn't exist, if target ID doesn't exist, and I believe undefined would also fall under this, then we want to create a target item. And that's just going to be a constant. And then we want to set the spotlight. Light dot target equals light target object. Okay, and then we want to take the spotlight. There's two things we need to do to the target. We need to set its ID is equal to light ID. So basically, okay, what's your problem? Oh, other way around. So what I was trying to do is actually take the ThreeJS one and assign it. But I wanted the other way. I wanted to assign the ThreeJS ones. I was trying to do an assignment instead of getting it from the ThreeJS one. Okay, so now what's your problem? Oh, what am I doing? Man, I am out of it. Okay, so light item. There's just so much going on in my head right now. Light item is that, and then I don't know what its problem, why it's having a problem. I'm just going to comment everything beyond this. Dot target dot ID equals dot ID. Okay, so basically I'm saying, okay, let's update it, and then let's mark the light item. Oh, and then it's added to the scene, which I do here. So let's just move this code up here. It doesn't really matter which one. I guess just for mental, so I don't have to kind of think through it next time. I'm just going to say add the spotlight's target to the scene, and then dot target dot added to scene is equal to true. So we've already added it to the scene. We're good. We know it's been added. We know we're only going to get in here on this, and now so we know there's a spotlight target that's a good target. We don't need to add this now. We don't need that. And then we need this to be the spotlight's target. Exposition. And this is kind of a bummer because I think it's kind of cool code that I just wrote, and it's sad that, you know, that it's basically, you know, not going to be around, you know, and that's something you just kind of have to get used to as a developer. Now, I don't know if this is going to work. That was a lot of code, right, without any sort of testing or anything like that. So let's just see what we get. Let's just kind of hope for the best. So I'm going to actually act like it's going to work. And if it doesn't, we'll fix it tomorrow. I'm trying really hard to not like just make these videos just go on forever. Okay, so we know lights work in general, so we haven't completely broken that. Let's move our Z position forward, and then when we turn this to a spotlight, okay, so that still works. And now let's change the X target to 1. And that did not work. And I don't know why. And we still need to figure out why the whole thing changes. But that didn't work. And let's see. We don't even get any kind of 3. So that didn't work. I guess I'm kind of mad at myself for not having it console log this equal spotlight, and spotlight is not equal. I should have just so log dot spotlight. I'm afraid to look at the time. Okay, so I want to look at the light item and the spotlight itself, because those are two different things, right? Yeah, this is the actual ThreeJS spotlight, and this is the light item. We don't really need to see it to actually do a quick analysis of what in the world is going on. Let's see, 1, and then spotlight, and then the target is 1, 2, and then so it should have moved over. And now let's go ahead and look in the spotlight. Okay, so this is the text. This is the object that we created, and that looks good, right? And we have a target ID of 18, and then we have the spotlight itself, which should have a target in it. And then, yeah, and we did add it to the scene. Let's see, yeah, and its X position is 2. So I don't really, and that's the target, right? Type of spotlight, and then if you expand, so its position is 1, 0, 0, and it has a target in it. And the target is an object, and it should have like an ID of, I believe it was it? I thought it was 18. Okay, that's weird. So we have a target of 18 here. The ID that we got was 18 up here, but down here our actual target has an ID of 16. So the target that we added to the object itself, and then the light item's target ID should be spotlight. Yeah, so that's weird. And then we add it to the scene, our spotlight target, and then we set that it's been added. We say that it's been added to the scene, so that's the first thing up here. Yeah, added to scene is true, but it's strange because we do have a mismatch on the ID. That this could just be some weird coding thing that doesn't actually affect it, or it could be the actual problem. So one last look. Spotlight target is equal to this target that I just created. Spotlights. And then this ID is the light items target.id. So that should be right. And then we add our spotlight target to the scene. And then we mark it as having been added. And then, yeah, so I don't really know what's going on. And it doesn't surprise me, right? Like, but you know, that definitely I don't think that this spotlight. Oh, that is the spotlight, not the spotlight's target. So I don't even think, because the spotlight itself is, its ID is probably 16. So I just didn't. Wait. All right. I think I'm. This is so typical to get very, very confused. All right. All right. Okay, so the first thing we have is the text spotlight. The second thing we have is our light object, which has a target, and it says that it's 18. It says that its ID is 15 and that the target's ID is 18. Then we actually have the spotlight. So we would expect its ID to be 15, which is right. And then we would expect the target ID to be 18. And it's 16. So the target ID is incorrect. Now, what we didn't console log was the scenes. So let's, no, this dot scenes 0. Yeah, let's look. I think that what's, yeah, for some reason, add light, edit form, 1, spotlight. Okay, so we already have it in there and it's sitting at 0. And then, so let's look. Okay, so we have our spotlight text. We have our ID. We're saying that we have our actual light thing, light, non-heavy light, which is 15. We have a target, and we say that the ID is 18. It's kind of funny how those things stay consistent. Okay, so now this says that our actual target, no, this is not the target, that our actual thing is 18, which is weird to me, right? Because let's close this, let's open this up. So we're saying that the ID of the parent of the spotlight is 15, but this ID is 18. So that's screwed up. And then we have the light itself, the target. Yes. We don't, what did I, all right. You know what we need to do? We need to just have a break point there so we can look at it. 1. All right. So we should have skipped all of that this time. And so our spotlight, our actual, let's just expand this out. So our light item says it has an ID of 18. Oh, okay. Then we did the target. Okay, so the light item has an ID of 18 and a target ID of 15 and 18. This guy should have a target ID of 18, but it's 16. Who knows where that 16 is coming from? So the scenes, let's see, I've never really looked in here. Children. Okay, the child has a spotlight. See, it's like weird. Why do if I have the spotlight in there, why do I have to add this thing? And then it has this thing. And then this has an ID of 18. So that's the one that's in there. But so that's good, right? Because I have the right ID in there. I added the right ID. Okay, what am I seeing here? Spotlight target has an ID of 16. Okay, so Spotlight has an ID of 15 and its target has an ID of 16, but inside the scene has two children. One of them is our target that we added, and that thing has an ID of 18. Okay, so that's weird. So see, we could see here where we said, hey, in scene, add the spotlight target, and that was 18, and that was 16. But now inside of the scenes, target 16 isn't in there. Target 18 is in there, and I don't know how, or yeah, the object 18 is in there, not 16. And I don't know how it got there, how that number changed. If it's something that's behind the scenes in ThreeJS or what the deal is. There's just no telling. You know, we're like in the depths of a whole different set of concepts that I don't understand. And it isn't surprising that that now, you know, we're just like flailing. It makes total sense that we'd be flailing at this point because it seems like there's something going on behind the scenes that I don't understand. Seems like I added 16 to the scene, and then somehow after some changes, 18 is sitting in the scene where I had added 16. So I don't know exactly how that happened. Um, so anyways, tomorrow we'll dig on that. I'm sure this is a super long video. Yeah, almost 30 minutes. You know, I don't know what to say. It's just like, was Spotlight worth it? Is Spotlight worth it? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. This is how you learn. Happy coding, guys. Bye.